Gameplay changes, huge buffs to the INSECT GLAIVE, Sword and Shield, Switch Axe, and Lance. These Monster Hunter Wilds tweaks are everything we asked for and more. The Monster Hunter dev team has been hard at work making changes with all the intel and feedback they were able to collect from players during the open beta test, and they were so kind as to share some of the adjustments they've made thus far, so let's take a look at the improvements. Game director Yuya Takuda started the stream discussing the graphical optimizations they've made to the game and how much better it's running than the open beta build that we played. On PlayStation 5, as you can see here, they've been able to fix the rendering bug that plagued the open beta when you selected the prioritized frame rate mode. So no more checkerboard rendering, as the full game will have AMD FSR upscaling support. This also applies to the Xbox Series X. However, as you know, the Series S is the least capable console of this gen and will only touch 30 FPS, which I don't think anyone who bought a Series S actually cares about that, because if they did, they would have spent the extra on a Series X. As far as the PC goes, they've of course made a slew of fixes there as well so that the game runs smoothly across more rigs, but here's the solution that they're thinking about to help players know for sure before purchasing the game.
We're considering as well releasing a benchmark tool for Steam players, and that'll let you more directly check how your PC hardware is going to run the game. So that's something that's still in the works at the minute, and if that becomes finalized, again, we'll release further details on that in due course.
Takuda-san also discussed some minor gameplay adjustments they've made, including tweaks to hit stop and audio effects so that stronger attacks feel more impactful, some tweaks to the frequency at which monsters flee to different locations, which apparently was bugged in the open beta, and some changes to clipping and friendly fire to give newer players and casuals a little more leeway so that they don't drive veteran players completely insane. But on to the most exciting part of the update, the weapon adjustments, which appear to have been implemented across the board, but 5 weapons definitely got a lot more changes than the others. The biggest one being the INSECT GLAIVE. Vault dancing is back, baby. I know we talked previously about the ability to remain aerial when landing one of the aerial attacks and how they removed that, but it looks like they decided to add the bounce back into the Glaive's kit, along with the ability to increase your aerial attack power with every vault. They also added some tweaks to the extract effects on the weapon. For instance, orange extract will now negate knockbacks when your weapon is unsheathed, and having all 3 can mitigate wind pressure, tremors, and roars. That's going to come in very clutch when trying to stay aerial and can prevent monsters from interrupting your attacks, sending you crashing to the ground. Big changes here. Glaive mains are definitely eating. The Lance got a good amount of love as well. You can now guard while charging your counter move and then combo that into other moves, adding more safety and fluidity to the weapon. Power guards will now charge a lot faster when using it against more dangerous monster attacks, so experienced Lance players who like to live on the edge will now get rewarded for their courage and skill. And both Perfect Guard and Power Guard can be comboed into a new move that they're adding, so the Lance's kit is definitely expanding in the full game. The Switch Axe is being tweaked so that filling up the axe gauge isn't as difficult, and so that switching to the sword mode feels a lot more powerful altogether. Along with that, several of the moves have been made much more responsive, and the full release slash in particular has been buffed. The move's animation has been sped up, and the damage output on it has been increased. Takuda-san believes this will make the Switch Axe a much more fun weapon to play when the full game releases. The Sword and Shield is bringing back the ability to guard while performing the Rising Slash move. This was a highly requested run back by Sword and Shield mains, so that's very exciting. Also, they've improved the responsiveness and mobility of the weapon, making it easier to get in, chain combos together, and get out. And I think with these tweaks, Sword and Shield is giving the dual blades a run for its money as the most mobile weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds. The only weapon that appeared to receive a nerf is the bow. While it did get a buff in attack power and is going to be a more responsive weapon overall, the tracer shots are being scaled back in power just a bit, and the focus strike targeting now locks onto monster wounds one by one with a little delay in between each lock on, instead of locking on to all the wounds at once, which honestly makes a lot more sense. That particular feature was a little too OP. Again, Takuda-san says they've done a little tweaking to all the weapons, but the sweeping changes were just the 5 I mentioned, and I'm excited to see how well these all play when the full game releases next February. A couple of other tidbits he gave us before signing off. There will in fact be a guild system in the game. This was not in the open beta, but of course it would give players the ability to host guild lobbies so that every time they log on, they're put into a server with their people. Private lobbies, of course, will also be returning, so folks who are worried about that not being in the beta, worry no more. And speaking of the beta, Takuda-san claims that there's a possibility we might see another open beta before the game launches. He did say it would be the same build as the last open beta, and none of the changes that were discussed today would be implemented, but because so many people missed the last one, they're considering running it back one more time before the game launches, which is very exciting to know. And with that, we've received an official community update from the Monster Hunter team. And look at this, guys. The game's not even out yet, and they're already locked in keeping the lines of communication open with the community. This is what separates Monster Hunter from other game communities, and all of the devs, community managers, creators, and everyone around the game do their part in keeping the information flowing. It's a beautiful society to be a part of, if I might say so myself. I will for sure be keeping my ears open for any more information pertaining to Monster Hunter Wilds, and if anyone's interested in joining my guild, The Alignment, hit me up. We've got some big plans for Wilds as well as the lead up. More on that later, but for now, peace out, folks.